Welcome back to another episode of TT Plays, and today we're going to be doing a rapid rules review where we cover 3 to 4 rules as quickly and as comprehensively as we can. Franklin back there is excited. He's eating a treat. He normally doesn't get treats in his tank. And as an Asian male who has problems saying the letter R, I probably could have named this segment better, but we're sticking with it. Rapid rules review it is. All of these are going to be Leviathan themed because everyone wants to talk about Leviathan right now. So let's talk about the Hellhammer. The Hellhammer is obviously the new weapon that Leviathan has. Everyone's pretty excited about it. It, 2, swings for 6, and when the combat chain closes, if this attack, banish it. Well, Leviathan obviously wants 6 attacks to be banished because that turns off Blood Debt. So in a vacuum, Hellhammer attacks, turns off Blood Debt. That's phenomenal. Now, what happens if we add a Frailty token into the mix? Frailty says your attack action cards played from Arsenal and weapons have -1 attack. So what strength is the Hellhammer when it actually hits the banish zone? Well, we're going to be using last known information of the card, which is in part 1.2.5 of the rules. And unfortunately, that means the Hellhammer attacked for 5. The last thing we knew about it was 5, so it's going to hit the banish as a 5 strength weapon. So it doesn't turn off Blood Debt, sadly. So if we're looking to turn off Blood Debt, don't be swinging that Hellhammer when there's a Frailty token out there. So another question that came at my local game store this week was, what happens with Figment of Triumph then in the Hellhammer? Well, if we read Figment of Triumph, it says when this enters the arena, attack action cards your opponent controls get -1 this turn. So it does absolutely nothing to the Hellhammer. But it did raise another interesting question of how does Figment of Triumph interrupt with things that require you to discard cards of 6 or more power, which is a common thing Leviathan ends up doing, or other brutes, right? We look at Bloodrush Bellows here. If you discarded a card that has 6 or more power, draw 2 cards. So what is the strength of my cards if I happen to discard this Savage Feast, or Savage Feast discards itself in order to try to draw a card when Figment of Triumph is out? Well, to understand that, we'd have to circle back to Figment of Triumph. It says, attack action cards your opponent control get -1. So what is control? And control is defined as spells that are being cast or played, whether that's an attack or an action or an instant or other things, or things in the arena. Since we're not playing these discarded cards, we don't control them, and therefore they're not subject to the Figment of Triumph -1 strength. So don't worry, Leviathan players, don't worry, Rhinar players, we can still Bellows, we can still Savage Feast safely into Figment of Triumph. So the last thing I wanted to cover was a couple different rules about the Scowling Flesh Bag, the brand new brute helmet that everyone's excited to run, and it says when this defends, intimidate. So the first thing I want to talk about is when. When means this creates a trigger that can be responded to. When this defends, when something happens, something else happens, that's a trigger. So your opponent's going to have a chance to respond to this intimidate. So Lexi can respond with Voltaire and put another arrow down at Arsenal. So Scowling Flesh Bag, not phenomenal to Lexi. Into ninjas, or basically people that can't function at instant speed though, it's incredibly powerful, even into the mirror, to take that card away from someone if they're expecting to be able to use it for cost or just to send another attack. Then it says at the beginning of the end phase, return it to your owner's hand. And an interesting question came up that I wanted to say from my local game store regarding Heave. Heave says at the beginning of your end phase, if Thunderquake is in your hand and you have an empty arsenal zone, you may pay 3 and put Thunderquake face up in your arsenal. If you do, creates 3 Seismic Surge tokens. So what happens if I want to Heave Thunderquake? My blue card was intimidated away from the Flesh Bag. Am I able to order these in such a way that I can Heave the Thunderquake? And the answer is yes, you can. As the priority player, well, you're going to get to order these however you want. You would have the Intimidate trigger resolve first, so you get the card back into your hand. Then we're going to use Thunderquake, and we would have the resource in order to pay for Thunderquake and Heave it. Now, what happened if you had the blue in your hand, though, and the Thunderquake was intimidated away? Unfortunately, in this situation, you're not going to be able to Heave the Thunderquake because both of these need to trigger at the beginning of your end phase, which is a very distinct part, and they talk about this in the rules, right? 4.4 for the end phase. So because you hit the beginning of your end phase and you don't have Thunderquake to trigger that Heave, you're going to have to resolve the Intimidate coming back to your hand. Then you've already passed the beginning of your end phase, so you're not able to Heave the Thunderquake. You could just Arsenal the Thunderquake normally without the Seismic Surges. I know that feels real bad, but you still have a 10 attack card down at Arsenal. So hey, we hope this rapid rules review helped you out. Hope you helped out with your local games a little bit, cleared things up. I do want to encourage each and every one of you to become a judge. Not only does it help your local game store, it helps run events, it helps you become a better player. I became a judge just because I wanted to become a better player, helped me understand the interactions more and what everyone was doing. So from Franklin and I, until next time, everyone, cheers and happy gaming.